In an unprecedented move, President Trump has saying that he's going to sue the Justice Department for $230 million, all for compensation and damages over prior investigations into his actions. According to a report by the New York Times, Trump is focusing on the two federal indictments brought against him after his first term. Both were dropped following his reelection, in part because he was reelected.
I don't know what the numbers are. I don't even talk to them about it. All I know is that they would owe me a lot of money, but I'm not looking for money. I'd give it to charity or something. I would give it to charity.
Trump acknowledged the unprecedented nature of this situation, where he would essentially be paying himself. All of that money, by the way, coming from taxpayers. Joining us live to discuss is former State Attorney General and King 5 political analyst, Republican Rob McKenna. Thanks for being with us, Rob.
Thank you, Joyce.
Hey, let's just start with the basics. We already know this is unprecedented. Has any other president in our history ever tried to get money directly from the Department of Justice? Is it legal?
I'm not seeing any precedent for it at all, no. And is it legal? Well, first of all, to clarify, he hasn't sued. In 2023 and the summer of 2024, he filed what's known as an administrative claim. That's to allow the Department of Justice to evaluate the claim and decide whether to settle it without a lawsuit, without litigation. And for reasons that no one seems to be able to explain, the Biden administration, that Department of Justice, did not deny those claims, when they were at the administrative stage. So what would happen is there would be a decision made on whether to settle the administrative claims, and if settlement is not reached, then there would be litigation. And again, it isn't clear why that step wasn't taken under the last administration before President Trump took office again.
That decision would come from AG Pam Bondi, also involved Todd Blanche, a former attorney for Trump. Both of them have worked for Trump before. And the decision would eventually go across the president's desk. So ultimately, he would be deciding whether he gets paid. Do you see any conflict of interest there?
I don't think you need a former attorney general to tell you that there's a very clear conflict of interest here. If President Trump doesn't lose his rights to make a claim if he's damaged because he's become president, but he does lose the right to make the decision of whether he gets paid under a settlement. Similarly, Todd Blanche was his lead trial counsel in the lawsuits that are at issue in these claims, for example, for mishandling classified records allegedly. And he needs to be recused. He said during his confirmation hearings that he's still the president's personal attorney, in addition to having his senior role at the Department of Justice. So there's a conflict of interest there as well.
And just to remind people, we're talking about the classified records that were found at his home in Mar-a-Lago, in a bathroom, in the ballroom, et cetera. If the DOJ goes along with this kind of message and agrees with this, what would be the message that it's sending, and why should Americans care about it?
Well, the message that it would be sending is that we don't have to follow the rules that we expect everyone else to follow. We don't have to follow the ethics guidelines. Now, the Department of Justice did say that Todd Blanche would heed the guidance from the Ethics Council at the Department of Justice. I'm not sure who that is right now, because earlier this year, Pam Bondi fired the Ethics Council at the Department of Justice, but presumably they have someone else instead. And we'll see whether or not Mr. Blanche follows that guidance. From all the commentary I've read and from my own understanding of basic ethics law, I don't see how this isn't an ethical conflict for Todd Blanche to make the initial decision and for the president then to ultimately sign off on it.
It's possible both Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche could recuse themselves, but we'll wait to see.
Yeah.
I want to change gears, because something else that we're following today from the White House is that Trump is now gutting the East Wing for a $200 million renovation to create a ballroom, all while thousands of federal workers are being furloughed because the government is still shut down. And as you know, he's launched several investigations against his political opponents. And so I guess what I want to know is, as a Republican and somebody who's watching this, what are your thoughts about what you're seeing? Because there have been so many things that have been unprecedented that we're watching come from the White House.
Well, it's appalling to think of a president using the office to go after his political enemies, sort of on a vendetta. And if that's what it looks like to most of the people who are watching what he's about as he prosecutes, Bolton, for example. The way I think the White House or the president looks at it is turnabout is fair play. He was prosecuted or threatened with prosecution. His personal residence was searched for classified records, and then criminal action was sought. So he's saying, well, if they can do it to me, I can do it to them. And Bolton had access to and had possession of classified materials, which the allegations are he wasn't supposed to have. Bolton, of course, says that's entirely not true, that he did have permission to have those documents. But using the office of the presidency for a vendetta is obviously not what you want to see, because it's a misuse of power.
And then on the renovation that's going on for the ballroom, briefly, your thoughts on that?
I've toured the White House multiple times. It's a beautiful historic building. I never once, when I was visiting it, said, gee, what this place really needs is a 90,000 square foot ballroom. It's really lacking. So I don't know what to say about that. It's really unfortunate that it's happening, I think.
There's so much happening in Washington, so much to follow. I hope we can have you back soon, maybe in the next few days, with more news.
Very good.
Rob, thank you so much. We appreciate your time tonight.